Part 20. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 191. After everyone listened to Cao's words, they realized that it was only a moment before Guan Yu went to battle. At this time, Yuan Shao looked at the head on the ground and asked, "Is this Hua Xiong?" Guan Yu narrowed his eyes, stroked his beard with one hand and put his hand behind his back, nodded slightly and said, "Exactly." After hearing this, the princes were a little unconvinced. At this time, the previous herald hurriedly entered the tent and said, "Generals, General Guan just went to battle." Hua Xiong originally looked down on General Guan, but when the two of them fought, General Guan defeated that general in 2 moves. Hua Xiong was killed off his horse. After listening to the messenger's words, the princes believed that Guan Yu had indeed killed Hua Xiong. So the eyes that looked at Guan Yu were full of reverence, but when they looked at Gong Sun Zan, they were full of envy and jealousy. Hua Xiong, who none of the 18 princes could defeat, was actually killed by an unknown horse archer under Gong Sun Zan. In particular, the horse archer actually killed him in 2 moves. The glass of hot wine he poured when he went out was still warm when he came back. This speed was surprising. If this news gets out, Gong Sun Zan will definitely be happy to death, but the other princes, especially Yuan Shao, Yuan Shu, and the princes who just sent people to challenge Hua Xiong, will probably be laughed at by the world. However, when all the princes were sighing at Guan Yu's bravery, they saw a man coming out from behind Liu Bei and shouting loudly, "My brother has killed Hua Xiong. Why don't you rush into Hulao Pass and go straight to Luoyang to capture Dongzhou alive? What more can you do, time?" Everyone heard the thunder-like sound coming into their ears. Looking along the sound, they saw that the person speaking was an 8-foot-long man with a leopard's head and eyes, a swallow's jaw and a tiger's beard. His voice was like a huge thunder, and he was powerful. Like a galloping black man. Liu Bei knew that at this time, the princes were still immersed in the shock of Guan Yu's killing of Hua Xiong. Zhang Fei's urging was indeed a bit impatient, and at this time, his and Zhang Fei's identities were not enough to make decisions in this account. So when he saw the inquiring expressions of all the princes, he quickly stood up and apologized to them all. "Generals, this is my third brother Zhang Fei, who is a horse archer like Yun Chang." He was a bit grumpy and asked all generals to don't blame. Yuan Shu's general was killed by Hua Xiong, and a little pony archer under an unknown county magistrate actually killed Hua Xiong, which made him very embarrassed. After listening to Liu Bei's words, he was instantly furious and shouted at Zhang Fei, "We and other important officials in the Han dynasty know how to be humble and self-reliant, but you, a small pawn under the county magistrate, actually dare to show off your power here. Who gave you the power? What qualifications do you have to dictate to all the princes? Come here, get out of the tent." Seeing that Yuan Shu was angry, Cao hurriedly came out to be the peacemaker. He said to Yuan Shu, "Those who have made meritorious deeds should be rewarded. What is there? High or low? Besides, heroes don't care about their origins." Zhang Fei's suggestion seems to be correct, at least for now. What's more, we still have the alliance leader here. The highway cannot be arbitrary. Let's listen to the opinion of the alliance leader first. Everyone listened to Cao's words. All looked at Lu Feng. Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei saw that Cao had rescued them many times, and they had a good impression of Cao. But when I heard Cao say that he would listen to Lu Feng's opinion, he felt a little depressed. After all, when he was in Guangzhou, Liu Bei repeatedly showed off his reputation as a clan member of the Han dynasty, which made Lu Feng look down on him and treat them rather coldly. In addition, Liu Bei and others walked with Lu Feng all the way from Zhuozhen to Salai. However, Lu Feng and Gong Sun Zan talked and laughed, but the 3 of them had almost nothing in common. This let Liu Bei know that Lu Feng felt that Lu Feng didn't seem to have a good impression of him. So he was worried that Lu Feng would target them and drive them out. However, when Liu Bei thinks this way, he is completely judging a gentleman's heart with a villain's heart. Although Lu Feng doesn't like that he always talks about the Han clan, he will not avenge himself publicly. Besides, he just didn't like Liu Bei. Lu Feng still had some respect for Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. What's more, Zhang Fei's suggestion is indeed the right direction of attack, so Lu Feng said what Zhang Fei said is very consistent with the current situation. Hua Xiong, the guard of Hulao Gate, is dead, and Li Su is nothing to be afraid of. We should take this opportunity to capture Hulao Pass. Otherwise, when Dong Zhou learns about Hua Xiong's death and sends a strong general to guard it, if that person cannot get out, Hulao Pass will be difficult to defend and difficult to attack. There is another chance to enter Luoyang. Yuan Shu saw that Lu Feng listened to Zhang Fei's opinion and ignored his own thoughts, and said angrily, since you only value a small county magistrate, then I should resign. After Yuan Shu finished speaking, he turned to the tent go outside. Seeing this, Cao persuaded him, how can the highway miss a major event just by saying a word? However, Yuan Shu ignored it. Just as Cao was about to stand up to stop him, Lu Feng said, Brother Mengda, please sit down. Yuan Shu must have been beaten by Ben Chu yesterday. Brother, I have lost another general today, and I have lost face continuously. If you feel angry, let him go. Even though he is here, he can't make any useful suggestions. Cao heard this and thought about it. Indeed, since the effect of having him is almost the same as not having him, why force him to stay here? Later, Lu Feng mobilized his troops and sent generals, including Gong Sun Zan, Tao Qian, Wang Kuang, Chiao Mao, Bao Xian, Yuan Yi, Kong Rong, and Zhang Yang. The 8 princes gathered together to attack Hulao Pass. At the same time, Cao was ordered to serve as a mobile force to provide support and check for deficiencies. As for Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei, they naturally followed Gong Sun Zan. At this time, Hulao Pass, without Hua Xiong's guard and command, could hardly withstand the attack of the 8th Route Army. The only remaining guard, Li Su, was an accomplished man. Although he had some strategy, it was not enough to defeat the enemy, and his martial arts skills were only able to defend himself a little. He knew that after Hua Xiong died, it would be difficult to hold Hulao Pass. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the coalition forces of the princes to break through Hulao Pass. Li Su also packed up his luggage and fled Hulao Pass when Hua Xiong was killed by Guan Yu, and returned to Luoyang to report to Dong Zhou. Dong Zhou knew that Hua Xiong was one of the best generals under his command, and thought he could withstand the coalition of princes. However, he did not expect that Hua Xiong would be defeated within a few days. Dong Zhou was naturally worried about this, fearing that the allied forces of the princes would enter Luoyang and he would have nowhere to escape. At this time, after listening to Li Su's words, Lu Buletin took the initiative to stand up and said, My foster father, the alliance army is strong, and there are many generals guarding it. Buletin is asking for a battle, and is willing to lead the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry to repel the coalition forces of the princes and solve the problems for my foster father. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 192. Dong Zhou was very happy that Lu Buletin, the unparalleled number 1 general under Dong Zhou, was willing to stand up and ask for orders to resist the coalition forces of the princes. Laughing loudly, he said to Lu Buletin, My son, if you are willing to defend our family against the coalition of 18 princes, our family must be at ease. With your unparalleled martial arts, who can defeat you? As long as you take action, these allied forces of the princes will be wiped out by you like chickens and dogs. Lu Buletin listened to Dong Zhou's praise and said with a smile, Father, don't worry, with the child's martial arts and the bravery of Qianbing Prefecture's wolf cavalry will surely wipe out all those so-called princes. Dong Zhou nodded and said, Feng Xian, it's a good thing that you have confidence, and our family also has confidence in you. But after all, the coalition of princes has 30 with tens of thousands of troops. No matter how elite the Bingzhou wolf cavalry is, it will be difficult to defeat 10 times more enemies. What's more, there are Lu Feng and his red blood dragon cavalry in the alliance army. You must not underestimate them. So, except for you, in addition to the 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry at our headquarters, we will send you another 30,000 troops, all under your command, to resist the coalition forces of the princes. Lu Buledin heard this and accepted. Then, Dong Zhou turned to Li Ju and Guo Si and said to them, Li Ju and Guo Si, you two are waiting for an opportunity behind Feng Xian's army with 50,000 elite troops. If Feng Xian defeats the coalition of princes, you immediately bring an army of 50,000 to pursue the enemy with Feng Xian. If Feng Xian falls into a bitter battle, the two of you will lead an army to support. In short, the task of the three of you is to at least hold back the coalition forces of the princes at Hulao Pass and prevent them from entering. Luoyang, of course, it is best to directly maim them and let them run away. Li Ju and Guo Si listened to Dong Zhou's order and said in unison, please rest assured, Prime Minister, we two brothers will definitely know how to do it. Do your best to assist General Lu Buledin to defeat the coalition of princes. Then, Lu Buledin, Li Ju and Guo Si walked out of the palace together and walked towards the barracks. After the three people left, Li Ru bowed to Dong Zhou and said, Father-in-law, in your opinion, do you think Feng Xian, Li Ju and Guo Si can withstand the coalition of 18 princes? Dong Zhou was in a good mood at this time because Lu Buledin took the initiative to ask for orders to fight. He smiled and said, Feng Xian's martial arts is unparalleled in the world. If it is a fighting general, let alone the coalition of 18 princes at Hulao Pass, even including those outside Hang Pass. Ma Teng, no one is Feng Xian's opponent. Moreover, Feng Xian's 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry are truly the division of the king. Come to think of it, there should be no army in the world that can defeat Bingzhou wolf cavalry. Unless they sacrifice their troops. Using the numerical advantage to hold down the Bingzhou wolf cavalry to death with one enemy outnumbered, otherwise no one should be able to defeat the Bingzhou wolf cavalry with the same force. In order to prevent them from using the numerical advantage to hold back the Bingzhou wolf cavalry, our family also specially gave first, we have added an additional 30,000 troops. In addition, Li Ju and Guo Si have 50,000 troops supporting them from behind. Even if they cannot defeat the coalition of princes, it should not be a big problem to hold them back at Hulao Pass. Li Ru heard this. Dong Zhou's words shook his head slightly and said, Father-in-law, I'm afraid you have overlooked one thing. Dong Zhou asked, what's the matter? Li Ru said word by word, the leader of the alliance army, King Lu Feng. Dong Zhou listened. His expression immediately changed. He had participated in 2 battles with Lu Feng. Whether it was to put down the Yellow Turban uprising or later to suppress the Liangzhou rebellion, Dong Zhou witnessed Lu Feng's powerful strength with his own eyes. During the Yellow Turban rebellion, Dong Zhou had seen Lu Feng's powerful personal force, and even learned from the soldiers that Lu Feng could condense the energy of 9 true dragons and directly kill Zhang Qiao. During the Liangzhou rebellion, Dong Zhou saw with his own eyes the powerful combat effectiveness of Lu Feng's red blood dragon riders. Although there were only 3,000 people, they were able to defeat tens of thousands of Ziliang cavalry. Thinking of this, Dong Zhou himself was sure whether Lu Buledin could defeat Lu Feng. So Dong Zhou looked at Li Ru and asked, does Wen Yu mean that he is not optimistic about Feng Xian? Li Ru just said calmly, it's not that he is not optimistic about General Lu Bu, it's just that Lu Buledin has the overwhelming advantage. That is, his military strength. I don't a Euro trademark T know if he can defeat Lu Feng. And there is not only Lu Feng in the alliance army, but the general who can kill Hua Xiong within a few rounds. Although he is not famous, he must be powerful and cannot be tolerated. Underestimation. As Lu Buledin's second trump card, Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry, if it confronts Lu Feng's Red Blood Dragon Cavalry, it is unknown who will win or lose. Therefore, we need to be prepared for failure in advance. Dong Zhou listened. Liu's words were taken seriously, and he immediately asked, then what should our family do according to Wen Yu's wishes? Liu said, it's very simple, move the capital. After hearing this, Dong Zhou frowned and asked, move the capital? Move the capital? Where to go? What's the use? Liu said the capital will naturally be moved to Chang'an, the former capital of the Han dynasty. The reason why the coalition of princes gathered is to destroy us. In fact, except for a few of them who really want to be loyal ministers of the Han dynasty, most people just do it for fame. If my father-in-law takes the little emperor to move the capital to Chang'an, in the eyes of those who are interested in fame and wealth, it will be a victory for them to drive us out of Luoyang. In addition, our main force is still there. Chang'an is located in the Guangzhou area, is easy to defend but difficult to attack, so they are naturally unwilling to sacrifice most of their troops to continue attacking us. So as long as we reach Chang'an, the coalition of princes will inevitably fall apart. Dong Zhou listened to Liu's analysis, thought for a long time, and finally nodded and said, in this case, our family will prepare to move the capital. Once Feng Xian is defeated, we will move the capital immediately. But there must be a reason for the move. How can we convince those stubborn ministers in the court? Liu listened to Dong Zhou's question and asked. He handed Dong Zhou a piece of paper, which read, if there is a Han in the east and a Han in the west, it will be easy for a deer to walk into Chang'an. Then he explained, my nephew has written a lot of this note and sent people to bury it in the fields around Luoyang. I believe it will be discovered soon. And this ballad is catchy and will definitely spread throughout the streets. The two Han dynasties in the east and west naturally refer to Chang'an in the west, where Emperor Jiaozu established his capital, and Luoyang in the east, where Emperor Guangguo established his capital. Since the Yan and Huang dynasties, there has been a saying of chasing the central plains. If a deer enters Chang'an, it means moving the capital to Chang'an, and there will be no difficulty. Wait until when this folk song spreads, we will send people to say that this is a sign from heaven. Those ministers in the court will naturally want to act according to this sign. At that time, we will not need to explain, and we will naturally move the capital to Chang'an. Dong Zhou listened and immediately clapped his hands. Cheers! You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 193. Dong Zhou made the decision to move the capital at any time, but on the other side, the coalition of 8 princes had already invaded Hulao Pass. At this time, the 8 road allied forces had disagreements about the next action. At Liu Bei's suggestion, Gong Sunzan proposed to station in Hulao Pass and wait for the arrival of a large force led by King Lu Feng before making the next decision. However, Wang Kuang, the governor of Hanoi County, wanted to rush directly into Luoyang in one go. In this regard, Gong Sunzan said, the order given to us by the alliance leader is to break through Hulao Pass. Now we have completed the task. Hulao Pass is easy to defend but difficult to attack. As long as we hold this pass, we will have the initiative to invade Luoyang. As long as we hold this pass, we will have the initiative to invade Luoyang. When the army arrives, we only need to leave some troops to guard Hulao Pass to ensure our army's retreat. But if we don't wait for the army to arrive and advance rashly, with our strength, whether we can invade Luoyang and kill Dong Zhou is temporarily unknown. Not to mention, if we encounter an enemy army and lose in battle, I am afraid that the Hulao Pass that we just acquired will change hands again. In this way, it will not be so easy to attack Luoyang again. However, Wang Kuang said, now that Hua Xiong died in battle, we captured Hulao Pass with lightning speed. Dong Zhou is far away in Luoyang and may not be able to react. If we enter Luoyang quickly, we will definitely be able to enter the city before he reacts. Capturing Dongzhou alive is the best way to end the battle quickly. If the leader of the alliance arrives with the main force to attack Luoyang, I am afraid Dongzhou will have already reacted. By then, he will have built an iron wall and it will be difficult to defeat him. Each side holds its own. No one can convince the other person with just one word. In the end, Wang Kuang decided to lead his 10,000 troops to Luoyang alone. The other 7 princes were afraid that Wang Kuang would make mistakes if he attacked alone, so after discussion they decided to let Yuan Yi and Xiao Mao follow closely behind. Gong Sun Zan, Tao Qian, Bao Xian, Kong Rong, and Zhang Yang each left a small number of men to guard Hulao Pass and wait for the arrival of the main army led by Lu Feng. Then they also followed Yuan Yi and Xiao Mao with their own soldiers and horses and rushed towards Luoyang. On the other side, Li Ju and Guo Si followed Lu Buletin from a distance with an army of 50,000 Ziliang troops at the rear. Lu Buletin also felt that there were too many troops. The 30,000 troops assigned to him by Dongzhou included infantry, which slowed down the march. So he ordered his subordinate Zhang Liao to command the 30,000 Ziliang troops to follow behind and use the fastest speed to keep up. Lu Buletin himself led 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry and marched all the way to Hulao Pass. As a result, Wang Kuang and Lu Buletin were going from Hulao Pass to Luoyang, and the other was from Luoyang to Hulao Pass. It didn't take long for them to meet on a narrow road. This is a typical encounter. However, Wang Kuang did not know that when Hua Xiong was killed, Li Su ran back to Luoyang to deliver a message, which made Dongzhou already prepared and ordered Lu Buletin to resist the coalition of princes. Therefore, Wang Kuang did not maintain much vigilance along the way. When he saw Lu Buletin and the 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry, he was not prepared at all and was caught off guard. When Lu Buletin came out of Luoyang, he guessed that the coalition of princes would definitely send a vanguard to Luoyang, so he kept vigilant and entered a fighting state the moment he encountered Wang Kuang's army. At this time, Wang Kuang looked at the cavalry troops charging from a distance. Their flags were embroidered with a wolf head with fierce eyes, and the formation was still very complete despite being told to run. At first glance, they were elite troops. And the leading commander rushed over at once. Wang Kuang looked at how he was dressed as a general. He wore a purple gold crown with 3 prongs on his head, a Sichuan red brocade 100-flower robe on his body, a chain armor with an animal face and a swallowing head, and an exquisite lion belt on his waist. He carried a bow and arrow, held a painted halberd, and sat the red rabbit and horse neigh in the wind. So majestic, who else could it be if it wasn't the legendary flying general Lu Buletin? After confirming Lu Buletin's identity, the 3,000 cavalry must be the world-famous Bingzhou wolf cavalry. Although Wang Kuang was the prefect of Hanoi County, he was not good at leading troops in battle, and his personal force was not high. He originally thought he could sneak into Luoyang secretly, so he rushed in so impetuously. But when he saw the world-famous Lu Buletin, he was immediately frightened and at a loss. I even forgot to take command of the battle. Seeing that Lu Buletin had already rushed forward, he hurriedly asked who dared to fight. Hearing Wang Kuang's question, Fang Yu, a famous general in Hanoi, rode out on horseback with a gun drawn, and said to Lu Buletin, I have heard for a long time that General Lu Buletin is the most powerful general in Ziliang. Yu Below is also famous as an alumnus in Hanoi. Please give me some advice from General Lu Bu. After hearing what Fang Yu said, Lu Buletin laughed and said, How dare you show your embarrassment in front of this general, an unknown young man. After speaking, Lu Buletin clamped his horse's belly, and the red rabbit horse rushed out like lightning. Fang Yu didn't expect Lu Buletin to be so fast. Before he could react, Lu Buletin killed him instantly with a halberd. Wang Kuang was so frightened that his most powerful general could not survive even one round in Lu Buletin's hands. Then Lu Buletin led the 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry behind him to charge forward. Wang Kuang had long since lost his will to fight and left his 10,000 troops to resist Lu Buletin, but he turned around and ran away. However, the Hanoi soldiers without the command of a coach were no match for the Bingzhou wolf cavalry. The Hanoi army retreated in defeat the moment the two sides fought. Seeing that Wan Kuang was about to be killed, fortunately, Chiao Mao and Yuan Yi's troops arrived in time, resisted Lu Buletin's attack, and rescued Wan Kuang. Then Gong Sunzan took Liu Bei and the remaining princes arrived in time. When Wan Kuang saw them, he finally calmed down and began to gather the remaining troops and merged with Gong Sunzan and 7 other armies. Lu Buletin saw that the encounter was over and both sides had gained a firm foothold, turning it into a positional battle. So he left 3,000 Bingzhou wolves riding behind him and stepped forward to call for battle. Everyone knew Lu Buletin's bravery, and no one dared to come out to fight him at first. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei had the experience of killing Hua Xiong, so they did not make any noise, just waiting for the princes to deal with it on their own. Lu Buletin waited for a long time, and when he saw that no one from the coalition of princes dared to come out to fight him, he couldn't help but laugh. "You guys with nothing but wine and rice bags, you have the nerve to say that you want to defeat the Prime Minister, you are really overestimating your capabilities. Now I am standing here now, if you want to kill the Prime Minister and be loyal to the Han Dynasty, you must first pass the test of this general." Seeing that Lu Buletin looked down on him so much, Mu Shun, the general of Zhongyang, the governor of Shangdang, and Wu Angguo, the general of Kongrong, the governor of Bihai, others came out to fight one after another. It's just that the gap between them and Lu Buletin is too big. Except for Wu Angguo, they were all instantly killed by Lu Buletin. Wu Angguo fought with Lu Buletin for nearly 10 rounds, but was finally no match for Lu Bu. His arm was cut off, so he had to abandon his hammer and run away. Seeing Lu Buletin chasing Wu Angguo, Gong Sunzan couldn't bear Wu Angguo being killed. He waved his long spear and went to intercept Lu Buletin personally and rescued Wu Angguo. However, Gong Sunzan could only hold on for a few rounds before he fell into a disadvantage and had to turn around and run away. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 194. Gong Sunzan couldn't defeat Lu Buletin and turned around to run away. Naturally, Lu Buletin couldn't let him go easily. After all, 19 princes raised troops to attack Dongzhou, and Gong Sunzan was one of them. And compared with the other 18 princes, Gong Sunzan had several reasons for Lu Buletin to kill him. The first point is naturally that Dongzhou borrowed the hands of the young Emperor Lu Xie to order Lu Yu, who was the shepherd of Yuzhu at the time, to raise troops to attack Liaodong in order to avenge Dongzhou's brother Dongmin for being assassinated by Lu Feng. However, Gong Sunzan repeatedly blocked it. Even when Xian Yufu's army sent by Lu Yu to attack Lu Feng was defeated and fled back to Jixian, Gong Sunzan directly sent troops to kill all Xian Yufu's remaining troops. Lu Yu was ordered by the emperor to attack Liaodong, but Gong Sunzan attacked Lu Yu's army from behind. This was disrespectful to the emperor. This was Lu Buletin's first reason to kill Gong Sunzan. Later, Lu Yu learned that Gong Sunzan had killed all his troops and left no one behind. He was furious and asked the court for orders to attack Yoboping. However, Gong Sunzan took the lead and secretly planned a hangmen banquet to invite Lu Yu to attend. And that idiot Lu Yu actually went to the banquet of his mortal enemy without any preparation, and was killed on the spot. The Lu Yu whom Gong Sunzan killed was Yuzhu Mu. Not long after the imperial court restored the state animal husbandry system, the state animal husbandry was in charge of the military and political power of a state. When Gong Sunzan killed Lu Yu, he was undoubtedly provoking the imperial court. It would be fine if it was the Han dynasty that was once in power under the Hanling Emperor Lu Hong, but what he provoked was the new dynasty that had sole power after Dongzhou deposed the new emperor. This made Dongzhou intolerable no matter what, and even regarded Gong Sunzan as the prince he wanted to get rid of most, and even hated him more than he hated Lu Feng. As Dongzhou's adopted son, Lu Buletin naturally wanted to help Dongzhou kill Gong Sunzan. This was his second reason for killing Gong Sunzan. After Lu Yu's death, Gong Sunzan and Lu Feng formed an alliance and were no longer under the command and control of the court. They were completely independent and self-reliant. This was Lu Buletin's third reason for killing Gongsun Zan. As for the fourth point, it is also the most important point at present, that is, Gongsun Zan is one of the few princes who was born as a military general among the 19 princes coalition. In the eyes of Dongzhou, Li Ryu, and others, although the coalition forces of the princes totaled 19 lines and had a strength of 300,000, the real pressure on them was not great. This is because among the 19 princes, only 4 were born as military generals: Lu Feng, Gongsun Zan, Sun Jian, and Ma Teng. Although the other 15 princes also held the position of governor and state pastor, they were more talented in internal affairs and were not good at leading troops in war. Only these 4 people are not only good at fighting in the army, but the combat effectiveness of their troops is extremely powerful. In addition, they have accumulated a lot of practical experience through years of conquests. Needless to say, Lu Feng had already defeated the Wuhuan, Goguryeo and other foreign tribes by him, and he himself was promoted to the king of Side by Side and the champion by virtue of his military exploits. Sun Jian, known as the Jiangdong Tiger, performed brilliantly in suppressing the Yellow Turban Rebellion and the Liangzhou Rebellion. Later, Changsha Kexing rebelled, and Sun Jian single-handedly put down the rebellion in Kexing within a month. The imperial court also named him Marquis of Wuchen for his military exploits. Ma Teng is a descendant of General Fubo Ma Yuan. Ma Yuan's marksmanship is passed down in his family, and he is also good at martial arts. He has lived in Ziliang for generations and is very good at horseback riding. His Ziliang cavalry is a rare elite cavalry nowadays. As for Gongsun Zan, he also fought against the Xianbei, Wuhuan and other ethnic minorities in the north in Yuzhou all the year round. Before Lu Feng, he was the most feared person among the foreigners in the entire Han dynasty. In addition, the white horse Yi Kong under his command is very powerful in combat, and the foreigners are also very afraid of Gongsun Zan. It can be said that Dongzhou attaches great importance to the 19-way alliance of princes precisely because there are these 4 people in the opponent's formation. Without them, Dongzhou would have no need to worry about defeat at all with just a dozen scribes and politicians leading the crusade. But now that Ma Teng is leading an army alone to attack Hang Pass, there are only 3 of the 18 princes in Guangdong who are capable of conquering and fighting. Since Gongsun Zan among them was right in front of him, the leader was naturally unwilling to let him go. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill Gongsun Zan directly, so as to save him the trouble of letting him go back to the mountain. So Gongsun Zan ran away, and Lu Buletin naturally chased him closely. Because Lu Buletin's horse was the best horse in the world, the Red Rabbit horse, which could travel thousands of miles a day and fly like the wind. Even though Gongsun Zan was riding a good horse from Yuzhou, he could not escape Lu Buletin's attack. Seeing that he was about to catch up with Gongsun Zan, Lu Buletin raised his Fangtian painted halberd and looked at Gongsun Zan to stab him in the back. At this time, Dongzhou was naturally very excited when he thought that he could kill all the princes with his own hands when he met the coalition forces for the first time, and it was Gongsun Zan who had the deepest hatred for Dongzhou among the Kwantung coalition forces. He was even fantasizing about Dongzhou's reward after returning to Luoyang. However, just as the side blade of Fangtian's painted halberd was about to hit Gongsun Zan's back, suddenly a strange spear with a curved tip came across between Fangtian's painted halberd and Gongsun Zan. Then the 2 magic weapons clashed together, making a crisp sound. Boom! Lu Buletin thought that Gongsun Zan was already dead. Unexpectedly, a snake spear came across halfway and rescued Gongsun Zan. Then a huge force came out. Even Lu Buletin felt that the hand holding the Fangtian painted halberd went numb. Lu Buletin did not expect that the alliance army would apart from Lu Feng. There was no one else with such great strength. I couldn't help but look at that person. I saw a general next to him, with wide eyes, an upside-down tiger beard, and a snake spear that was 8 feet tall, rushing towards his Pegasus. He came and shouted the slaves of the three surnames should not leave. Zhang Fei from Yan is here. La 1/4 Buletin was so proud and arrogant that he couldn't bear such insults. He immediately abandoned Gongsun Zan and fought with Zhang Fei. Originally, Lu Buletin had just killed several generals in the alliance army and thought that the opponent was nothing more than this. When he saw Zhang Fei, although he looked rough and fierce, didn't take it seriously, just thinking that he wanted to use his brute force to deal with him. But he didn't expect that this black man was not slow to react despite his brute force, so he put away his contempt and started fighting seriously. Zhang Fei also fought Guan Yu, fearing that Zhang Fei would make a mistake, slapped his horse, brandished the 82-pound Qing Longyanyu sword, and attacked Lu Buletin from both sides. Three Martin and Martin were fighting, and the two super generals Guan Yu and Zhang Fei joined forces, putting a lot of pressure on Lu Buletin. Guan and Zhang fought with Lu Buletin for more than 30 rounds, but still could not defeat Lu Buletin. At this time, Liu Bei was also worried about the two men. The younger brother made a mistake, picked up his two swords, rode a yellow-maned horse, and stabbed diagonally towards him. He also stepped forward to help. Lu, Guan, and Zhang joined forces to fight against Liu Bu. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 195. Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei surrounded Lu Buletin and fought like a lantern. Yuan Yi, Bao Xian, and other 8 people were all stunned. Originally, Lu Buletin was fighting alone against the two super generals Zhang Fei and Guan Yu. Although it was not a leisurely battle, he was definitely able to withstand them completely. After Liu Bei joined, the situation changed. Although Liu Bei was only a second-rate general, standing there would still affect Lu Buletin's judgment. In addition, he first played more than 50 rounds with Zhang Fei, then Guan Yu joined, and Lu Buletin played more than 30 rounds with the two of them. Such a long period of consumption caused Lu Buletin's physical strength to drain quickly. After another 80 rounds, it became increasingly difficult for Lu Buletin to attack and block, so he saw that Liu Bei was not strong in force and gave a false thrust. Liu Bei did not know that he was fainting and hurriedly stepped aside. Lu Buletin took the opportunity to swing the horns of the formation, dragged Fang Tian backwards and drew his halberd, and Pegasus returned. When Liu Bei saw Lu Buletin taking advantage of his opportunity to escape, he felt regretful and hurriedly pursued with Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. At this time, Zhang Liao, who was following behind, also rushed to the battlefield and immediately led an army of 30,000 Ziliang troops to attack the 8th Route Army. After the 8 Wei princes had just fought against Lu Buletin and Bing Zhou, except for Wan Kuang's 10,000-strong army, which was almost completely wiped out, the rest did not lose too many troops. Seeing that Zhang Liao could only lead 30,000 troops, they were not afraid and led their troops to kill him. Upon seeing this, Zhang Liao did not panic at all. He calmly commanded the army to first accept Lu Buletin into the formation, and then rushed towards the alliance army. Although the coalition forces of Gongsun Zan and other princes had an advantage in numbers, they were composed of 8 forces after all. There was no tacit understanding among them and the orders were not unified. On the other hand, the 30,000 Liangzhou soldiers under Zhang Liao followed orders and prohibitions, advanced and retreated in a controlled manner, and showed no signs of panic when facing an enemy force nearly 3 times their size. The two armies have not yet fought each other, and a decision has been made. Therefore, the allied forces of the princes had a numerical advantage, but they were unable to turn their advantage into victory. Instead, they were entangled by Zhang Liao's 30,000 army. At this time, under Lu Buletin's command, 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry came from the side of the 8 Wei princes' coalition, and with the momentum of the horses, they instantly divided the princes' coalition into 2 halves. The Bingzhou wolf cavalry, originally the king's army, was like a wolf entering a flock of sheep, fighting against a coalition of princes who were completely unable to unite their front. Seeing this, Gong Sunzan quickly commanded the army, using his numerical advantage to hold back the Bing Zhoulanqi and Ziliang armies, while slowly retreating. At this time, Li Ju and Guo Si, who were responding from the rear, saw that Lu Buletin's vanguard army was already fighting with the vanguard army of the coalition of princes, and they had gradually established an advantage. So the two of them did not hesitate, and directly led an army of 50,000 people to arrive, and joined forces with Lu Buletin's army to attack the coalition of princes. Originally, only the Bing Zhoulanqi and 30,000 Ziliang troops had already defeated the coalition of princes, which could only resist and had no chance to fight back. The sudden addition of Li Ju and Guo Si obviously caught the coalition of princes by surprise. Already at a disadvantage in terms of combat effectiveness, the coalition forces of the princes were now unable to even gain an advantage in numbers. At this time, they were completely demoralized and had no will to fight. Scholars such as Kong Rong and Yuan Yi, who had almost never participated in a war, had never seen such a battle. When they saw their army being defeated, they immediately panicked and did not know how to command their armies, so they just retreated. As the only general in the 8th Route Army, Gong Sunzan had to stay in the rear to cut off the rear. Even so, the troops belonging to other princes still did not listen to his orders and just fled towards Hulao Pass. Gong Sunzan had no choice but to fight and retreat. Because the line of the fleeing allied forces was too long, Gong Sunzan, who was at the end, was tightly held by Lu Buletin and Zhang Liao's army and could not get rid of him. So when Gong Sunzan led his army to escape back to Hulao Pass, the defenders inside the pass had no time to close the gate. Lu Buletin's army followed Gong Sunzan and entered the pass. Without Hulao Pass as a support, the 8th Route Army allied forces could not withstand the joint efforts of Lu Buletin and Li Ju, so they had to abandon Hulao Pass in a hurry and fled towards Lu Feng's army. As Lu Buletin led the army to enter Hulao Pass again and the allied forces of the princes retreated, control of Hulao Pass once again fell into the hands of Dongzhou. All the efforts of the 8 princes fell short. Lu Feng and the other coalition forces of the 10 princes also arrived in front of Hulao Pass. He was about to lead the army to enter Hulao Pass to station, but suddenly he heard the sound of killings in the pass. Then Wan Kuang, Yuan Yi, and other princes came from Hulao Pass. Escaped from prison. And the army they led was all discarded of their armor, and all of them were injured. Gong Sunzan was the last to come out of Guanzhou with his 10,000 troops. Even if no one spoke at this time, they could all guess that Hulao Pass had fallen into the hands of the enemy again. In desperation, Lu Feng had no choice but to order the army to camp where it was. The army rested here while the princes entered the Chinese army's tent to discuss matters. Lu Feng saw that although Wan Kuang was the first to come out of Guanzhou, he also suffered the heaviest losses. Not only was he covered in wounds, but there were only less than 4,000 of his 10,000 soldiers left. Although Gong Sunzan was the last one to come out of seclusion, he had no injuries except for some damage to his armor, and there were still about 8,000 of his 10,000 soldiers left. So Lu Feng asked what happened. Since Gong Sunzan and Wan Kuang represented two opposite opinions, they did not speak. Instead, neutral Yuan Yi, Qiao Mao and others told Lu Feng the complete story. Of course, Qiao Mao and others were also very angry at Wan Kuang's greed for power and his rash advancement, which not only caused heavy losses to him, but also caused Hulao Pass, which he had worked so hard to defeat, to be taken away by the enemy again. Therefore, when telling Lu Feng, it is inevitable that he will be biased towards Gong Sunzan. However, Lu Feng had the ability to make his own judgment. After listening, Lu Feng stood up, patted Gong Sunzan on the shoulder and said, "Brother Bogui, thanks to your efforts to turn the tide today, otherwise the army of the 8 princes would have been completely wiped out." Just after Lu Feng finished speaking, a herald ran in and said to everyone, "Report to the leader, generals." A man rushed out of Hulao Pass, claiming to be Lu Buletin, and came to call for formation. When Wan Kuang and others heard that Lu Buletin had arrived, they were frightened. At a loss. The other princes who had not seen Lu Buledin fight with their own eyes heard that Lu Buledin came to challenge, and they sent their generals to challenge Lu Buledin. However, these people were no match for Lu Bu. They were all instantly killed by Lu Buledin. At this time, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei were separated by Bingzhou Wolf cavalry when they withdrew from Hulao Pass not long ago, and they have not yet joined the coalition forces of the princes. Just when the princes didn't know what to do, Lu Feng stood up and said, "I'd better go in person. I've been waiting for this moment for too long." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 196. Lu Buledin defeated the 8th Route Allied forces that invaded Hulao Pass and recaptured Hulao Pass. He had just killed several generals in front of the 18th Route Allied forces with one move in a row. His momentum was like a rainbow. The 3,000 Bingzhou Wolf cavalry were all delighted and their morale was boosted when they saw how brave their commander was. As for the generals the alliance army had just sent, their martial arts were really poor, and they were all killed instantly by Lu Buledin with one move, which was not satisfying at all. At this time, Lu Buledin was waiting for the black man with a leopard head and ring eyes or the red-faced man with phoenix eyes and long beard who killed Huaxiong to come out and enjoy another 100 rounds of fighting. However, the coalition of princes did not send anyone out for a long time, which made Lu Buledin very upset. He even began to curse constantly, hoping that the coalition of princes could not bear the provocation and come out to duel with him. As soon as Lu Buledin cursed for a while, the door to the alliance camp opened, and a young general under the age of 20 came out with 3,000 cavalry. Although this general in the coalition of princes was young, the military commander's temperament exuding from him made Lu Buledin pay attention. This kind of temperament is definitely a temperament that can only be possessed by peerless generals. Even the auras of Guan Yu and Zhang Fei who just fought cannot compare to this young man. In addition, the 3,000 cavalry behind him were wearing strange red armor, holding long spears, swords at their waists, and large bows on their backs. At first glance, they were no ordinary cavalry, and they were not even compared to his own Bingzhou Wolf cavalry. Weak. Faced with such a situation, even Lu Buledin, who had always been arrogant, put away his contempt and squinted at the young general in front of him. After a long time, Lu Buledin said, "Yes, there are heroes like you in the coalition of princes. No wonder I have the confidence to kill the prime minister. But I, the general, see that you have such strength, you must not be an unknown person, so I will report to you this title can also help General Lu get to know this world-famous hero." After listening to Lu Buledin's words, Lu Feng raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and then said, "They say that among men, Lu Buledin is like the red rabbit, and when I see General Lu today, you are indeed extraordinary in martial arts. But you are indeed as arrogant as the rumors say. Anyway, I will give you a good fight to make you restrain your arrogance." Lu Buledin was originally guessing when the prince's coalition forces would there is such a military commander who has reached peerless status at such a young age. At this time, after listening to Lu Feng's words, he claimed to be the king, and the only person in the coalition of princes who had the throne was Lu Feng. So Lu Buledin said with a smile, "I thought that there would be another peerless military general in this world. It turned out to be the champion Lu Feng and Lu Tianlin. No wonder the world calls you the Dragon General of the Han Dynasty. You are almost invincible in battles with foreign races. It turns out that you are the great Han Dragon General. You are also a peerless general. Now among the coalition of princes, you finally have someone who can make me use all my strength, so that I can finally fight with all my strength." Lu Feng listened. At Lu Buledin's words, he couldn't help but sarcastically said, "Now that you see me, you say that you can finally fight with all your strength. Then why didn't you mention it when you were beaten by Guan Yu and Zhang Fei not long ago and left?" Lu Buletin listened to Lu Feng. He laughed, but was not angry, and explained with a smile, the big black man and the red-faced man are good at martial arts, but after all they are just super generals, and they must be a little worse than this general. As for those hands that are above the knees, they are too long. The monkey-like big-eared thief is far behind. If the red-faced one and the black-faced one hadn't been protecting the big-eared thief, I would have killed the big-eared thief long ago. As for turning around and running away, it would be even more difficult. It's all untrue. I'm a bit tired after fighting for so long, but if you want to continue fighting, it's not impossible. The reason why I retreated is because I saw your Wang Kuang, Chiao Mao and others running away from Wang Hulao Pass. The general had to command the army to follow them and rush into the pass. Wouldn't this mean that Hulao Pass could be snatched back? Besides, with my general's martial arts skills, let alone 1 versus 3, I would be able to challenge them one by one. 5 is nothing. After hearing Lu Buletin's words, Lu Feng knew that he was bragging and did not argue with him. Instead, he said directly, it's useless to talk more. Since the two armies are fighting today, let me take a look at you. What is the ability of the flying general Lu Buletin? After hearing Lu Feng's words, Lu Buletin said no more. He also mentioned Fang Tian's painted halberd and stood opposite Lu Feng. A battle between two of the most powerful generals in the world is definitely very rare. The momentum that the two people burst out is also quite amazing. Lu Buletin has a peerless BMW Red Rabbit under his crotch, while Lu Feng rides a peerless BMW Black Jade Kirin trained by Goguryeo horse farms and animal trainers. Two peerless horses roared like dragons and tigers, equally matched. Lu Buletin has the peerless magic weapon Fang Tian Huaji, and Lu Feng has the peerless magic weapon Black Jade Spear. In terms of weapons, both sides are equally matched. Behind Lu Buletin is the king's army, 3,000 Bingzhou Wolf cavalry, and behind Lu Feng is the invincible army, 3,000 Red Blood Dragon cavalry. Although the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry, as the king's division, is already the top cavalry unit in the world, they will not be at a disadvantage even if they fight against the Dragon City cavalry. But what they faced was not ordinary cavalry, nor Dragon City Iron cavalry, but Lu Feng's personal guards, the invincible Red Blood Dragon cavalry. As the only 8th level troop in the world, in terms of cavalry momentum, the Red Blood Dragon cavalry completely suppressed the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry. Although the two have not officially started fighting, the momentum of both sides has already shocked many princes. The battle between two peerless generals naturally attracted the attention of everyone present. Whether it was Zhang Liao, Li Ju, and Guo Si on Lu Buletin's side, or Sun Jian, Gong Sun Zan, Yuan Shao, Gao Lan, and others from the 18th Root Princes coalition, they all stood in front of their respective camps and nervously watched the battle between Lu Feng and Lu Buletin. Such a battle has never been seen before, and everyone feels that blood boils. Cao even served as the drummer himself, beating the war drum to cheer for Lu Feng. Lu Feng came from later generations and already knew that Lu Buletin's military force represented the ceiling of personal military force in the entire late Han and Three Kingdoms period. If he hadn't been upgraded to the current height by completing tasks in the transfer hall, no one in the entire world would be Lu Buletin's opponent. So he will naturally use all his strength to fight against Lu Buletin. Facing the world-famous King Bingjian, Lu Buletin did not dare to have the slightest contempt. In the long-term wars in the south and north, the Goguryeo kingdom, which only led 10,000 people to destroy nearly 600,000 mercenaries, repeatedly made military exploits with force and was crowned king for its military exploits. This series of past achievements all prove that Lu Feng is strong enough to force Lu Buletin to go all out. After a brief period of calm, the war between the two sides was about to break out. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 197. Lu Buletin had few opponents in his life, especially in one-on-one battles, he never lost. Although he was facing Lu Feng at this time, he knew that the young man in front of him, who was more than 10 years younger than him, was powerful enough to make her go all out. But after all, as a peerless general who has never been defeated, Lu Buledin still has his own pride. So he was not in a hurry to take action, but wanted to use his momentum to suppress Lu Feng and let Lu Feng take action first. But when he found that his momentum was not enough for Lu Feng, he finally couldn't bear the fact that there was someone with a higher talent than himself in the martial arts he was proud of. He has been on the battlefield for nearly 20 years. Countless life and death battles and daily hard training have made him a peerless military commander. But the Lu Feng in front of him, who was only a teenager, had already become a peerless military commander. This was a state that he was far from reaching when he was that age, and he couldn't even imagine it. If Lu Feng were allowed to grow up and reach his current age, wouldn't he be truly invincible, and even himself would be far behind? When Lu Buledin thought of this, the murderous intention in his heart became deeper and deeper. He could not tolerate that in his own era, someone could surpass him in terms of force. So he had to kill Lu Feng before he fully grew up. In this way, whether it is in this world or in future historical records, when the number one general in the world during the Ling Emperor and Xian Emperor periods is mentioned, only Lu Buledin will come to mind. So Lu Buledin no longer deliberately maintained his demeanor and waited for Lu Feng to make the first move, but instead rode towards Lu Feng himself. Lu Buledin galloped towards Lu Feng while waving the Fang Tian Huaji in his hand. In 2 breaths, a terrifying purple energy condensed from Fang Tian Huaji into a terrifying purple wolf. As Lu Buledin Fang Tian's painted halberd waved, the purple wolf bared his teeth and claws and rushed towards Lu Feng. When you reach the level of a peerless general, it is not difficult to condense the energy in your body into a substantial form and use it as a killing move. Moreover, the form after the energy is condensed into substance is also controllable by the user. The purple wolf condensed by Lu Buledin is precisely to match the Bingzhou wolf cavalry under his command. The ferocious wolf head embroidered on the flag of the Bingzhou wolf cavalry is exactly the same as the head of the Sirius condensed by Lu Buledin at this time. In fact, Lu Buledin only used this killing move twice when he first became a peerless general, and never used it again after that. It's not that he can't use it, but that his opponent is far from powerful enough for him to use the Sirius to kill him. In most battles, Lu Buledin only needs to use his martial arts and halberd skills, combined with his natural divine power, to be able to chop off the opponent's head or break the opponent's heart into pieces within a few rounds. There were too few generals who could fight him for dozens of rounds like he had just fought with Zhang Fei and Guan Yu, and there had never been anyone who could force him to use this Tianlang trick before Lu Feng. Lu Buledin had long heard that when the champion Lu Feng was suppressing the Yellow Turban uprising, he used the black jade spear in his hand to summon 9 5-clawed golden dragons to kill Zhang Ju in Guangzhou. When people who had not seen Lu Feng kill Zhang Jiao with their own eyes heard the news, the commander believed that in order to highlight Lu Feng's powerful force, people made up the fiction that he could summon a heavenly dragon to kill the enemy. But as a peerless military general, Lu Buledin immediately thought that Lu Feng was called the Dragon General of the Han Dynasty. This Tianlong was probably condensed with his own energy after he reached the realm of peerless military commander. Therefore, Lu Buledin had already guessed that Lu Feng had probably reached the peerless state. And now he used his strongest killing move as soon as he took action, condensing his own energy into a wolf and blasting towards Lu Feng, just to test his conjecture. If Lu Feng is really a peerless military commander, he will naturally concentrate his energy to resist his own Sirius. If he is not a peerless military commander, this move will be enough to kill him. The various princes and Li Ju, Guo Si, Zhang Liao and others who were watching the battle had never seen such a posture before. When they saw the purple wolf, they were all startled. In their hearts, although Lu Buledin was powerful, no one had ever thought that he could conjure such a wolf, and they all thought that Lu Feng was dead this time. Even the war drum in Cao's hand stopped. Sun Jian, Gong Sun Zan and Cao, who were friends with Lu Feng and admired Lu Feng very much, looked at Lu Feng, hoping that he would get away quickly. But Yuan Shu, Yuan Shao, and others sneered in their hearts, thinking that Lu Feng was finally going to die. But they never thought that if Lu Feng died, how could they escape Lu Buletin's pursuit? Lu Feng looked at the purple wolf rushing towards him, feeling very calm in his heart, without any excitement or surprise. He knew that Lu Buletin could train to become a peerless military commander. In addition to his talent, his martial arts skills must also be extraordinary. The purple wolf was transformed from his martial art, the wolf whistling moon halberd method, and its aura was astonishing. Lu Feng saw Lu Buletin slightly raised corners of his mouth, and at the same time heard the cheers of Bingzhou wolf cavalry behind him and the urgent shouts of Cao Cao, Sun Jian, and others telling him to run quickly. He no longer waited. Just listen to Lu Feng shout softly, "Dragon soul destroys the world." Then a five-clawed golden dragon spiraled out of his ink-jade spear. Lu Buletin's ability to release a purple wolf had already shocked all the princes. When they saw Lu Feng's golden dragon, they were even more shocked, and then they burst into deafening shouts. Behind Lu Buletin, Bingzhou Lonqi, Li Ju, and others originally thought that Lu Buletin must have won by releasing the wolf, but they did not expect that Lu Feng could also condense energy into a solid form to form a golden dragon, and they suddenly became silent. The golden dragon and the heavenly wolf collided instantly, the golden dragon entangled and the heavenly wolf bit. The howling of wolves was deafening, and the roar of dragons shook the world. Finally, the Sirius and the golden dragon disappeared one after another. In the first contest, both sides were evenly matched. But the terrifying momentum has already frightened all the princes and generals. They didn't expect that one person's power could reach such power. Neither Lu Feng nor Lu Buletin was surprised by this result. Then the two men rushed towards each other, their ink-jade spears dancing, Fang Tian's painted halberd flying, and they fought fiercely for hundreds of rounds without a winner. Even the two peerless BMWs, Moyukilan and Red Rabbit, were fighting each other. While Lu Feng and Lu Buletin were fighting fiercely, 3,000 red-blooded dragon cavalry launched a charge towards the 3,000 Bingzhou wolf cavalry. Bingzhou wolf cavalry, which used to be a 6th-level unit, was recently promoted to a 7th-level unit. He originally thought he could sweep all the major arms in the world, but he didn't expect to encounter the 8th-level arm, the red-blooded dragon cavalry, which was even more powerful than him. The gap in levels meant that the Bingzhou wolf cavalry was definitely no match for the red blood dragon cavalry. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 198. If Lu Feng and Lu Buletin represent the pinnacle of military force in the current era, then the red blood dragon cavalry represents the pinnacle of cavalry in the current world. They are the only 8th-level military unit in the current world, an invincible division. The gap in military service levels cannot be made up no matter how hard you train. As for the Bingzhou wolf cavalry, which had just been promoted from the 6th level to the 7th level, their combat effectiveness had tripled. Now every Bingzhou wolf cavalry soldier has the strength to fight alone against the original 3 Bingzhou wolf cavalry soldiers. After the level upgrade, the soldiers of Bingzhou wolf cavalry have greatly increased their confidence. Ziliang cavalry, which also belongs to Dongzhou, is no longer their opponent. In their eyes, there was no army in the world that could surpass theirs. No matter it was Gong Sunzan's white horse Yikong or other troops, they were no match for them. Even if it is the world-famous Dragon City cavalry under King Bingjian, they are confident to fight against it. But at this time, they saw that Lu Feng's troops in front of them were not the world-famous Dragon City cavalry, but another cavalry unit. Although the Red Blood Dragon cavalry was powerful and even more powerful than the Dragon City Iron cavalry, the soldiers of the Bingzhou wolf cavalry did not know that. Because the Red Blood Dragon riders were formed relatively late, they did not participate in Lu Feng's battle to become famous and suppress the Yellow Turban uprising. Later, Lu Feng went deep into Goguryeo alone, and the battle to kill the king of Goguryeo was also completed with the Dragon City Cavalry. Therefore, the popularity of the Dragon City Iron Cavalry in the Han Dynasty is much higher than that of the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry. After all, the Dragon City Cavalry was the unit led by Lu Feng when he first rose to prominence. They were also the unit that had followed Lu Feng the longest and participated in the most battles. Moreover, the name of this unit is the same as the Dragon City founded by Lu Feng. Therefore, the Dragon City Cavalry has always been regarded as synonymous with Lu Feng and Lu Feng's exclusive unit. As for the several battles in which the Dragon City Cavalry shined, and the one that destroyed Goguryeo, they were not within the territory of the Han Dynasty, so people don't Euro trademark T know much about them. The suppression of the Liangzhou rebellion mainly relied on Lu Feng's strategy, and Zhang Wen's army was mainly used in the battle. Therefore, although the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry had long heard that the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry, the bodyguard unit in Lu Feng's hands, was very powerful, they did not know exactly how powerful it was. Therefore, they were complacent, thinking that they were invincible, and were immersed in the dream of sweeping all the major arms in the world. However, they did not expect that the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry was an 8th level arm that was even more powerful than him. But they didn't know how powerful the opponent was, and they had no fear of the Red Blood Dragon rider. The soldiers of Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry let out bursts of wolf howls, and the momentum of 3,000 people condensed into a substantial murderous aura, locking the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry tightly. In the eyes of the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry soldiers, the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry is a stepping stone on their way to becoming the best soldier in the world, and it is a stepping stone that can prove their strong strength. Seeing the terrifying charging momentum of the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry, the princes from all walks of life could not help but change their expressions. Even Gong Sunzan had to admit that Bingzhou Lanqi was stronger than his white horse Yikong. Bama Yikong is an elite cavalryman whose reputation has spread throughout the Han Dynasty. He has been fighting against the foreign tribes in Yuzhou all year round. His riding and shooting ability and charging ability are among the best in the world. However, compared with Bingzhou Lanqi, there is still one missing temperament, that is, a kind of domineering attitude. If Bama Yikong is a group of agile foxes, then Bingzhou Lanqi is a veritable terrifying hungry wolf. They only have prey in their eyes and don't care about the opponent's strength at all. No matter how strong the opponent is, they will eventually become their prey. This is the confidence that a strong person has in himself, the confidence that he can overcome everything. In fact, Gong Sunzan's feeling is completely correct. Bingzhou Lanqi has been advanced to the 7th level of arms, while Bama Yikong is only the 6th level of arms. This level gap cannot be made up at all except by numbers of people. No matter how much combat experience you have, how good your on-the-spot performance is, or even how good your commander-in-chief is, in the face of absolute strength, it is just a cloud. Even Gong Sunzan was secretly frightened when he saw it, and the other princes were naturally even more frightened. After all, most of the armies under their command are ordinary regular armies of the first-tier arms, or slightly stronger elite armies of the second-tier arms. The princes and princes who are slightly more capable of running armies, such as Cao, Yuan Shao and others, have elite divisions equivalent to third-level troops. And for princes like Sun Jian who led troops to fight all year round, the strongest army in their hands was only 100 battle division equivalent to the 5th level arms. Compared to the 7th level Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry, the difference in strength is too huge. Each of them was thinking that if they were to fight Lu Buledin, they would not only be unable to defeat Lu Buledin, but even their troops would not be able to block a charge from Bingzhou Lanqi. An equal number of troops would definitely be defeated when encountering the Bingzhou Wolf Cavalry without any surprises. Unless we can use more than 10 times the force and use the number of people to consume, there will be a possibility of victory. Thinking of this, the princes from all walks of life began to worry about Lu Feng's Red Blood Dragon rider. After all, it seems that neither Lu Feng nor Lu Buledin can win the duel in a short time. However, Once the Red Blood Dragon cavalry is killed by the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry, Lu Feng will definitely be distracted, leading to defeat. In that case, what can I do to stop Lu Buletin and Bingzhou Lonqi? However, the princes from all walks of life were scratching their heads in worry, but the Scarlet Blood Dragon cavalry, who faced the charge of Bingzhou Wolf cavalry head-on, did not panic at all. They also brandished their spears and charged towards the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry. I don't a Euro trademark T no if eat a Euro trademark S because the Red Blood Dragon riders have their backs to the various princes, but the princes didn't a Euro trademark T feel how powerful the Red Blood Dragon riders emanated. Murderous intent. This was so different from the momentum of the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry that all the princes thought that the Red Blood Dragon cavalry would completely collapse the moment the two sides came into contact. However, what no one expected was that the two sides collided and the one who fell was the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry, who seemed impossible to lose. When the two armies met, the Crimson Blood Dragon cavalry's spear easily penetrated the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry's armor, but the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry's weapons were unable to break through the Crimson Blood Dragon cavalry's defense. In addition to the huge gap in equipment, the speed and reaction of the Red Blood Dragon riders are also significantly higher than those of the Bingzhou Wolf riders. The balance of victory soon fell to the side of the Red-Blooded Dragon rider. Lu Buletin, who was in the middle of a battle with Lu Feng, saw the disastrous defeat of the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry out of the corner of his eye after the two fought for nearly 200 rounds, and was momentarily distracted. Upon seeing this, Lu Feng used the Dragon Soul Spear without hesitation. The sound of dragon roars made Lu Buletin, who was already distracted, unable to concentrate at all, and was quickly defeated by Lu Feng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 199. Lu Buletin and Lu Feng had been in a stalemate until Lu Buletin noticed that the Bingzhou Wolf cavalry was completely passive and suffered heavy losses. The two sides were going back and forth, and they were fighting with each other, and it was hard to tell who was the winner. At first, Lu Buletin thought Lu Feng was young and not particularly tall and powerful, so he wanted to rely on his 9-foot height and rough figure to suppress Lu Feng in terms of strength. However, when the two of them fought, Lu Buletin discovered that although Lu Feng was relatively thin, his strength in his hands was no worse than his own, and even stronger than that big black man Zhang Fei. Really, people cannot be judged by their appearance. In fact, how did Lu Buletin know that the first military skill Lu Feng had after transferring in the job transfer hall was super god power? This power is not comparable to that of ordinary people. The black jade spear in his hand weighs 1,000 kilograms, while Guan Yu's Qinglongyanyu sword only weighs 82 kilograms. This is enough to show Lu Feng's strength. If it weren't for Lu Feng's rare encounter with a peerless general like Lu Bu, he wanted to use Lu Buletin to improve his combat experience, so he didn't use all his strength. I'm afraid Lu Buletin wouldn't have been able to resist for so long. In fact, although at first Lu Buletin was jealous that Lu Feng could reach the same level as himself at such a young age, and he was afraid of being surpassed by Lu Feng in the future, so he wanted to kill Lu Feng quickly. But when the two of them fought, he knew that killing Lu Feng would be impossible in a short time. After using his strength to test, Lu Buletin was even more certain that not only could he not kill the opponent in a short period of time, but he might even be defeated if he was not careful. So later Lu Buletin put away his desire to win and focused on fighting Lu Feng. After truly fighting Lu Feng with all his heart, Lu Buletin realized that it had been too long since he had fought with all his strength like this. At this time, fighting Lu Feng actually felt so comfortable. He even felt that if he could often fight to the death with an equally matched master like Lu Feng, he might soon be able to break through the realm of a peerless general and reach the next level. However, that was just Lu Buletin's future thought. The battle with Lu Feng now was the focus, and there was no room for him to be distracted at all. Unable to defeat Lu Feng in terms of strength, Lu Buledin relied on martial arts to win. So he used his heavenly wolf roaring moon halberd technique. Fang Tian's painted halberd flew up and down. Every time he swung it in the air, it would make the air emit bursts of wolf howls, arousing fear in his opponents. In addition to the sound of howling wolves, this halberd technique itself is also very powerful. Every move can be called a killing move, dragging the enemy to death in constant changes. However, Lu Feng has an absolutely strong belief and will not be affected by the sound of wolf howling. He is always able to react perfectly to the halberd technique itself. In this state, the battle between the two lasted for an hour. It was not until Lu Buledin discovered that Bing Zhou was completely passive that he became distracted. The Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry was his hard work, and it was a force he personally formed and trained shortly after his debut. He could name everyone in the team familiarly. Because of this, when he saw the soldiers of the Bing Zhou Wolf Riders being slaughtered by the Red Blood Dragon Riders, he couldn't help but worry about them. The battle between Lu Buledin and Lu Feng is completely a battle of equal strength and talent. No matter who is distracted in the slightest, it may lead to a complete defeat. So Lu Feng took advantage of Lu Buledin's distraction with Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry and used the Dragon Soul Spear. The bursts of dragon roars completely disoriented Lu Buledin, and he was eventually defeated by Lu Feng. At the same time, after this period of fighting, the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry killed 1/3 of the Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry. Of the 3,000 Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry, only 2,000 were left. Lu Buledin still dared to fight, so he hurriedly fled with the remaining Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry. Seeing the defeat of Lu Buledin and Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry, and the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry being so powerful, Li Ju and Guo Si in the rear suddenly lost the courage to fight against the coalition of princes. Together with Lu Buledin, they fled back to Hulao Pass with 80,000 Liangzhou troops. With the shadow of defeat, Li Ju and Guo Si suggested to Lu Buledin that since Hulao Pass is easy to defend and difficult to attack, they might as well hide in the pass and use the steepness of Hulao Pass to resist the coalition forces of the princes. Lu Buledin thought for a while and accepted Li Ju's proposal, so he set up defenses in the pass and prepared to defend to the death. On the side of the coalition of princes, Lu Feng single-handedly challenged Lu Buledin, shocking the princes at his powerful force. Cao even bluntly said that King Bingjian is the most powerful person today. Regarding Cao's flattery, Lu Feng just smiled and did not answer. Everyone had actually been prepared for Lu Feng's victory over Lu Bu. After all, King Bingjian's ability had long been familiar to people in battles with foreign races. What really shocked them was the Scarlet Blood Dragon Rider. A Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry is enough to make all the princes unable to deal with it. Unexpectedly, among the Red Blood Dragon Riders, defeating the Bing Zhou Wolf Cavalry is just a matter of hand. This battle was enough to spread the name of the Red Blood Dragon Rider throughout the Han Dynasty. Since Lu Buledin was defeated and fled, Lu Feng ordered his army to attack Hulao Pass while Lu Buledin was defeated and the enemy's morale was low. At this time, except for Yuan Shu, who had long been resentful towards Lu Feng, the other princes were completely impressed by King Bingjian's ability. Even Yuan Shao, who had complaints against Lu Feng because of his position as alliance leader, completely gave up the idea of a euro competing with Lu Feng. He knew that with Lu Feng's strength, even if he became the alliance leader, he would not completely obey his orders. And other princes may even disobey their orders and only follow Lu Feng's orders. In that case, he will lose face even more. The army marched towards Hulao Pass. Facing the Ziliang army that was unable to leave, Yuan Shao proposed a storm, but Lu Feng did not agree. He rode to the front of the army, raised his black jade spear, and once again used the 5th level skill Dragon Soul to destroy the world. 9 illusory dragon shadows, accompanied by thick lightning, struck the door of Hulao Pass. With a bang, the door broke into pieces. Seeing the door open, all the princes had already commanded their armies to rush into Hulao Pass without Lu Feng's orders. Due to Lu Feng's bravery, the morale of the soldiers of the coalition of princes was greatly boosted, and they wanted to rush to Luoyang immediately to drive away Dongzhou. On the other side, due to the defeat of the god of war Lu Buletin, the defenders of Hulao Pass were already demoralized. Now they saw that the coalition forces of the princes had even blasted open the gate of Hulao Pass, and their morale was even worse. After only a token resistance, they were defeated and left. At this point, Hulao Pass changed hands again. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 200. The news that Lu Buletin was defeated and Hulao Pass was lost again soon reached Luoyang. Dongzhou, who knew this, was immediately furious, and at the same time sighed with emotion for Li Ru's foresight. But now, the only option is to move the capital to Chang'an. However, just as Dongzhou was about to order the capital to be moved, Li Ru hurried over. Seeing Li Ru's anxious look, Dongzhou hurriedly asked when you didn't pack up the things he wanted to take away. He was preparing to go to Chang'an. Why did he come here in a panic? Li Ru took a breath, and then he said, Father-in-law, we are traveling a long way to Chang'an. There are some people with ulterior motives who should be eliminated as soon as possible. After hearing Li Ru's words, Dongzhou thought deeply, nodded and asked, what when you said makes sense, if these people rebelled on the way. If there are too many people to kill, it will be troublesome. It is better to kill them now while they are scattered. Then according to your opinion, there are so many ministers in this court, who are the people with ulterior motives. Li Ru obviously had a countermeasure for a long time and answered directly without thinking. It's hard to say about the others, but there is one person who must be wholeheartedly supporting the coalition of princes. This person is the current Situ Yuan Wei. His two nephews Yuan Shao, both Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, are among the coalition forces of the princes. If he informs us, Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu will definitely suggest that the princes join forces to attack us. At that time, because the emperor and many ministers will follow us, our marching speed will definitely be very slow, and it will not take long for the princes to attack us. The coalition forces can catch up with us. Moreover, Sizhu is an open wilderness on the way to Chang'an, with no city to guard. The coalition forces of the princes are likely to surround our army. By then we will be trapped in a tight siege, and there will be Lu Feng's red men. If elite cavalry like the Blood Dragon riders charge, I'm afraid we will be defeated soon. Therefore, my son-in-law suggested that before setting off, we should kill Yuan Wei first to prevent him from colluding with the enemy. Then hang his head on outside the city gate. The ministers were shocked and let them know the fate of the father-in-law who backed him. When the allied forces of the princes came to Luoyang and saw Yuan Wei's head, I was really looking forward to what kind of reaction the two brothers Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu would have. Here. After Li Ru finished speaking, a cruel smile appeared on his face. However, this suited Dongzhou's taste. Dongzhou smiled and said, okay, just do what when you said. Our family will send people to chop Yuan Wei into pieces now and hang his head on the city gate as a warning. As for Yuan Wei's family members, all of them are men. If we kill the girls, we will spare their lives if they are under 30 years old and let them follow our family to Chang'an. Those over 30 years old will also be buried directly. Li Ru said with a smile, that's what my father-in-law thought. Thoughtful. But in addition to getting rid of Yuan Wei, we left Luoyang city, especially the palace, where there are many treasures that we cannot take away. And the reason why those princes formed a coalition to attack us is, except for a few, one or two who want to be loyal to the big man, the rest are all just for profit. We can't take away this treasure in the palace, they will definitely take it away. We can't just let them get away with it. We take it away. If you don't leave, you will destroy it and no one else can get it. After hearing Li Ru's words, Dongzhou burst out laughing and said, when you really understand our family's heart more and more. That's the reason why we know one can get what the family can't get. So what do you think our family should do to destroy him? Liu squinted his eyes emitting a terrifying light, and said word by word, fire attack. Pour the palace full of kerosene, cover the entire city of Luoyang with hay and firewood, and burn Luoyang into ruins without leaving anything behind. Dong Zhou looked at Liu's crazy eyes and felt very happy. He smiled and said, okay, just do what when you said. On the other side, the allied forces of the princes entered Hulao Pass. Everyone felt very tired from the continuous fighting, so Lu Feng ordered the army to rest at Hulao Pass for 2 hours before returning. Head to Luoyang. Anyway, he knew the development of things later. Dong Zhou must have moved the capital to Chang'an. He would go there early and late to clean up the mess. He might as well take the opportunity to rest for a while and recharge himself to catch up with Dong Zhou. However, everyone had just rested for an hour when a scout suddenly came to report that Dong Zhou had killed Situ Yuanwei and hung his body on the gate of Luoyang to shock the ministers in the court. After Lu Feng heard this, he immediately sent someone to call Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu. After all, Yuanwei was their uncle. They needed to consult their opinions on what to do next. Yuan Shao and Yuan Shu, who were summoned and came over, didn't know what happened, and Yuan Shu was still angry at Lu Feng for disturbing his rest. Lu Feng didn't mind either, and immediately told the two of them about Yuanwei's death. Hearing that his uncle Yuanwei was killed by Dong Zhou, Yuan Shu's face was full of shock, and Yuan Shao was even more furious and had nowhere to vent. His face turned red from holding back, and then he spurted out a mouthful of old blood and fainted. The reason why Yuan Shao was so excited was because Yuanwei was the most optimistic about him compared to Yuan Feng and had always supported him to succeed the family head. Now that Yuanwei was killed by Dong Zhou, he lost a crucial vote. The other princes who came after hearing the news saw this and beat Yuan Shao finally to wake him up. The first thing Yuan Shao did after waking up was to ask Lu Feng, alliance leader, Yuanwei is not only Shao's uncle, but also a minister of the court appointed by the late emperor himself. Now, thief Dong is so cruel that he openly killed important ministers of the court. His intention to usurp the Han dynasty is clearly exposed. We are the officials of the Han dynasty and we should do our best to get rid of the Dong thief. Leader, you are a clan member of the Han dynasty. The Dong thief wants to rob you of the Lu family's world. You can no longer tolerate him. Shao suggested that the leader of the alliance immediately send troops to Luoyang and cut off the heads of the Dong thieves to sacrifice the spirits of the late emperors of the Han dynasty. Yuan Shao said this for a good reason. He used righteousness to suppress Lu Feng. He obviously wanted to go to Luoyang as soon as possible. He killed Dong Zhou to avenge his uncle, but he said that he wanted to bring out a thief for the Han dynasty. Moreover, Lu Feng was told that he was a clan member of the Han dynasty, so Lu Feng had no choice but to refuse. At this time, Lu Feng was even wondering if Yuan Shao was just faking it because he fainted out of anger, and he was actually thinking about how to explain that he was sending troops. However, what Yuan Shao said is still very reasonable. Dong Zhou's rebellious behavior is indeed unacceptable. Therefore, Lu Feng just pondered for a moment and then said Dong Zhou is cruel and unkind and has no regard for the king's laws. Isn't the reason why we are gathered here just to eliminate thieves for the country and restore a peaceful world to the great Han dynasty? Since Luoyang is right in front of us, isn't it? Then we will go directly to Luoyang now, wait until the Dong thief is eliminated, and then have a good rest and celebrate. Lu Feng's words won the approval of all the princes. So everyone organized their troops and went to Luoyang. However, what the princes did not expect was that when they arrived in Luoyang, they saw a hell-like scene.